Welcome, I'm Jo Neary and I'm the team vicar in the Beaminster Team, and you might know me as Rev Jo because I come into school and do collective worship. But at the moment we can't do that, so I'm recording some collective worships for you to watch in school. If I've not met you before because you're new to the school, hello, it's lovely to meet you, and I look forward to meeting you properly soon when I'm able to be back in school with you. We're thinking today about new beginnings, the beginning of a new school term, the beginning of a new school year. And we're also thinking about things that are good, the good things in life. So let's begin by lighting our candle together. So I've got my little tea light. Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is the light of the world. The Lord is here. His Spirit is with us. So I wonder what you have that's new. What are you having that's at the beginning of something, a new thing that you've got? Maybe you've got some new shoes on because it's the beginning of a new term and your feet have grown. Maybe you've got a new uniform on because you've moved schools or started a new school. Probably you're in a new class, maybe with a new teacher. Perhaps something's changed in your life outside school. Perhaps you've moved house, you've got a new house, or there's a new baby in your house, or you've got a new animal. Or maybe you've had a birthday, so you've got some new Lego or some new games for your Xbox. I don't know. There'll be lots of new things in your life right at the beginning of a new term. And that's what we're going to think about, things that are new in the beginning. And also want to think about things that are good. What's good for you at the moment? What are you enjoying? Perhaps you're enjoying seeing your friends again. That's really good, isn't it? Perhaps you're enjoying being back at school, because some of you won't have been to school at all for perhaps even 6 months. Perhaps it's really good to be back. Perhaps you know how to do something new. Perhaps you got really good at riding a bike over lockdown. Perhaps you have some good experiences or good memories to think about. And so as we begin a new term, we're thinking about new beginnings and we're thinking about things that are good. In the Bible, at the beginning of the Bible, there's a story about a beginning. Perhaps no surprise that there's a story about beginnings at the beginning. And this is my Bible that I carry around with me. And those of you who've heard me speak before, you know I talk about the Bible being like a little library. So it's one book, but inside there's loads of different books like you'd get on a shelf in the library. And the first book in the Bible, in the Old Testament, at the beginning of the Bible, the first book is called Genesis. And there's a story in Genesis right at the beginning of Genesis. You could find a Bible at school, you could look it up. The first chapter of the first book in the Bible, Genesis, is a story about beginnings. And it's a story about how we imagine God might have made the world. Now, science tells us lots about the beginning of creation, about a big bang, about explosions. We can find out about rocks and how old they are. We know about dinosaurs and fossils. We can find out about how old plants were. We can do all amazing discoveries. But 6,000 years ago, when the first book in the Bible was written down and stories told, they had to kind of imagine what it would have been like for God creating the world. And we get this story in Genesis. And it's all about beginnings, and it's all about God saying things are good. So in the Bible, we find the story in Genesis, but I'm actually going to read it from a children's Bible. And the story goes, in the beginning. Think of the dark. Make it darker. Perhaps you could shut your eyes and see how dark it is. Think of the darkest dark. In the beginning, there was nothing but dark. Then God spoke, let there be light. God was creative by speaking. He just had to speak and light came. And the very first light shone brightly in the darkness. Perhaps that's what it was like when there was the huge explosion, let there be light. And that was the first day, and God saw that it was good. God spread the sky wide above the ocean and folded the land to make hills and valleys. That was the second day, and God saw that it was good. God covered the earth with plants, grasses and flowers, vegetables and trees. That was the third day. God said it was good. The sun shone in the daytime and the moon and stars waited for their turn in the night time. That was the fourth day, and God said it was good. God made all the creatures. Birds flew in the sky, fish swam in the sea. That was the fifth day, and God said, it is good. Animals leapt and ran and scurried and hurried all over the land. They made themselves homes in holes and burrows and nests and dens. Then God made people, man and woman. Welcome, said God. You are my friends, and I want you to be safe and happy. Take care of the good world I have made for you. And that was the sixth day. And God said, it is good. And then on the seventh day, God rested. He didn't create any more. He just took time to see how good his creation was. I want you to have a think about that story now, about a story about beginnings and about good things. And I want you to think about, what did you like about that story? We give it a thumbs up. What did you like about that story? What did you think was good in that story? And also we think about the thing that's important. We flash our hands like a flashing light. What's important in that story? What do you think that story tells us about God and about the world? What do you think's important? So we're going to have some thinking time. There's going to be some music played, and you're going to have a think about what was good and what was important. And if you want to, you can stop the film now and come back to it again later, or you can just have this pause time and then we'll come back to answer a few questions. So let's have our thinking time now. You to think about what you thought was good about that story and what you thought was important. One of the things I think is good about that story is that every time God makes something, he says, it is good. All the things that God created are good. They're wonderful, they're amazing, they're something to be celebrated. And so I really like in the story that idea of things being good, that we are good because God made us, that the planet we live on is good, that the animals and the creatures around us are good, that the sea and the ocean and the stars and the sun and all the things that we need for our everyday life, they're all good. That's what I love about this story. And what do I think that's important? Well, I think there's a couple of things that are really important. One is that God is creative. I don't think that this story tells us exactly how the world was created, but what this story does tell me is that God is involved in the things that he's made, that he makes things, that he creates things that are wonderful. And so I think that's important because it tells me something about God, that God is creative. But the other thing I think that's important is that God wasn't busy the whole time. Did you notice what happened on the seventh day? He rested. And sometimes we need to make sure we've got time to rest so that we can appreciate all the good things that are happening. And actually in our bodies as well, we need rest. You know, all the new things that you're learning, all the new things you're experiencing, your new friends, learning to do new things. You need a bit of time to rest, to let your body absorb all this new stuff so you're ready to learn new things again. So those are the things that I think are important in the story. Rest, and that God made all these amazing things. He's creative. So perhaps you want to chat in your class or in your group or wherever you're watching this video about what you think is good and what is important. And finally, we're going to think about how this story helps us at the beginning of a new term. Think about the things that are beginning at the moment. Some of them might feel scary, some of them might feel exciting. I wonder if you would like God's help in the new things that you're experiencing. And think about what is good. We've just been through a time where things were quite tough and quite strange and quite weird. And it must feel good to be back in school again. And it does us good, I think, to name the good things that we see around us. So take a moment to think, what is good in your life at the moment? What do you need to say thank you to God for and celebrate because it's good? We're going to pray now, so let's be quiet and still. You can put your hands together, close your eyes, however it helps you think. And we're just going to ask God to bless us at the beginning of this new term. Dear God, thank you for being creative, for making amazing things, for celebrating creation, saying it is good, and for showing us how to be creative, how to be excited about new things, how to rest so that we have the energy to do new things and to do good things. So help us at the beginning of this new term. Help us be creative, help us learn, help us celebrate, help us look for the good things in life. Help us be good and kind to each other. Help us to make this new beginning really exciting and really good. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for joining me thinking about creation and new beginnings. And you can look up the story in the beginning of the Bible in Genesis. You can find YouTube videos to watch, all different things as you explore this story together this week. I'll see you very soon, certainly on a video next week, and maybe in school. We'll see what happens. But until then, have a lovely time. Take care. Enjoy your new beginning and celebrate what is good. Go in the peace of Christ. Thanks be to God.